Hey guys, this is Chandra with Super Happy Scrapper. I was staring at my computer. I just changed the settings on it, so I was staring at my screen and didn't realize I was recording. Okay, so this is a pin that I pinned on Pinterest. It's called Today, Tomorrow, and Forever Mini Flip Photo Album. And it says Count the Happies, and it just says 6x6.5. I tried to find to see if there's a tutorial. I couldn't find it. All I could find was like a picture and several people just pinning it. So somebody had asked me in my last video if I could try to make this. And so, well, I'm going to try. I don't know that these are all the pictures of all the pages. It looks like from the top of this, you can see that there's only like 3 inserts in there. And so I'm assuming there's only 3 pages in the thing. So I just tried to make it the best that I could, and this is my prototype. This is the first time I've made it. I have it together, but what I'm going to do is I didn't really adhere it down very well, so I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to show you what I came up with. I'm going to take it apart, and then I'll show you how to make it. This is pinned on my Pinterest Inspired Creations board because these are the pins that people have sent me and asked me to make. So I have my cereal boxes cut out, and that's what I'm going to use to make the cover. So this is what I have, and I have three sets. This one's just a plain pocket, nothing on the back. From what I can tell, the first page was just a pocket page. So that's what that is. The second page has a pocket here, and then it opens up, and then it opens up more, and there's a pocket here. This doesn't have anything. And then there's 2 flaps here. And then when you flip it over, there's a pocket here as well. Like I said, I didn't tape this down really good so I can take it apart. This pocket here doesn't have to be on there. I don't think that they use the kind of binding that I like. I like the hidden hinge. I don't think that they used that. So I added that on there just so that there was something to stick the hidden hinge binding into it. If you don't want the hidden hinge binding, you can just omit this last pocket and use a basic hinge on there. And the third page opens up like this and then flips open like that. And then there's a little pocket down here. And this one has 2 pockets. So this one has a pocket going down this way. And then when you flip it over, there's a pocket here. And again, this is the pocket that I added for the hidden hinge. Just like the front, this pocket was on there from what I could tell. So, you know, you could use that as a hidden hinge, or you could do the strips. And I have a paper hinge binding tutorial on how to do the strips that you attach to here before you do the paper. So this is what I came up with, and so I'm going to take each page apart and show you the measurements of each page one at a time. Okay, so you need one sheet that measures 6 by 5.5, and that is basically the base page on the first flip. And then the sheet that you're going to score, it has to be 7 by 5. Okay, so this sheet is 7 by 5. And then what you're going to do is you're going to stick it in your scoreboard so that the 7-inch side is at the top. And you're going to score it 1/2 inch and then at 6.5 inches. And then you're going to apply your adhesive on your flaps like this. And then you're going to tape it so that the openings are like this. And you're just going to make it onto your page like that. And that creates the first page of the album. I do believe they rounded the corners here in their album. And also all their tags look like they're rounded as well. So that's the first page. The second page has very various elements to it. And let's see if I can take them apart and put them back together in the right order. Okay. A little too much tape apparently. Oh, and there's one on the back. Okay, the first sheet is, I believe, 11. Yep, 11 by 6. And then I scored it at 6. So this part is 6 inches right here, and then this part is the 5 inches. Then what I've done is I've created 2 little flaps, and they are 3.5 by 6. So I have 2 of those. I didn't miter the corners on one of them. So what you're going to do is stick those 3-inch flaps so that they're in your scoreboard with the 3-inch side at the top, and you're going to score it 1/2 inch. And you're going to do that to both of them. Then fold on your score marks, and you're going to apply the adhesive on the back of the flap, on the flap. One of these you're going to apply so that the fold is on the left side of your page, and this is the 6-inch side that we're working on. And the second one is going to go just on the left side of this score mark right here. And it looks like they rounded the corners on these 2 as well. So there's the 2 flaps. Then this is the 5-inch side. You're going to need a little flap. And this flap measures 5 by 6, and you're going to put it so that the 5-inch side is at the top of your scoreboard, and you're going to score it 1/2 inch. Then you're going to fold on your score mark and apply your adhesive to the flap. And I just stuck this on the left side, or the right side of that cut edge. And so there's that piece. So now I took this little pocket and this measures, oh, the ruler's backwards. I can't measure backwards. This is 7 by 2.5. So I stuck it in my scoreboard on the 7-inch side, scored it 1/2 inch, and then 6.5. And then I rotated it and scored it at 2. So it created these folds here. Again, where the square, there used to be squares there, and I just mitered the corners, cut them off. And now I'm going to apply adhesive to my flaps. And again, I would use a stronger type adhesive. I mean, depends on how much you're going to be pulling on it. And then I applied this to the right side of that flap. Then when you fold it over, and it's all folded over, I created this pocket here. And all I did, whoops, was cut a pocket that was 6 inches. I think it was 6 by 5. I took a ruler and I marked how big I wanted my pocket to be. So this was like 1.5 inches. So then I just drew a line here, 1.5 inches. And then I believe this side was like 3 inches. And then I drew a line on the 3 inches. Then I brought out my scoreboard, sorry, my cutter, and I lined it up. So this point right here, I lined up at my 1 inch. And then I lined up the right side with the other. No. Okay, forget that. I just lined up my score mark, or my little tick marks that I made. So this was like 1 inch, so I lined that up, and then I cut it, and it created this really weird pocket. So let me show you what I'm talking about here on this piece of paper. So if I want my pocket diagonal to go this way, I know that the left side has to be smaller. So what I did was I just made a tick mark here at 1 inch, and then on the right side, I made a tick mark at 3 inches. Okay, so see those marks right there where my thumbs are? And then I brought it to my cutter and I lined up that one mark on my cutter. Let me see if I can get in here. That tick mark is on my cutter. And then I brought the bottom edge up where my finger is right here. I brought that up to line up with the cutting bed as well. Put it down, and then I just cut it. And that created my pocket. So then you score 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch in on this side, and 1/2 inch on the bottom. And that's how I created that angled pocket. So then I cut out the squares on the bottom. When I folded this right flap over, it was sticking up a bit, so I just trimmed it to the angle of the page. Okay, so like it was sticking out like this part right here, and then I just cut it at the angle. So now I'm going to apply my adhesive on my flap. I'm going to attach it to the front of my page here. I'm just going to fold my flaps back and stick it on the front. And you'll do the same to your matting paper. So like if you want to mat this piece, and this particular piece is 1 3/4 inches tall on this side and 3 1/4 inches tall on this side. So you'd cut your paper at 3 inches, just 3 inches by 4 3/4 inches, and then line up the tick marks like you just did. Measure it up, measure it over here, and then just cut it. And then it will fit on there perfectly. So that's the second page. Oh, I'm sorry. Now this is the part where I added this pocket page to the back to make the binding easier for me. So this last page is 7 by 6. I stuck it in my scoreboard so the 7-inch side is at the top. I scored it 1/2 inch on each side. Now I'm just going to apply it to my pocket page, but I want the openings to be horizontal so that my binding fits in there. So I'm lining it up at the bottom and the side and the top. And then I'm just burnishing just to make a good adhesion where the tape is. So that's that page. The last page is this one that has the flap, which I'll take off. This one has the pocket, and this pocket was what was left over after creating the first pocket. So I didn't do any measurements on this one. It was just left over, and I just flipped it up in my scoreboard and scored 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, and this pocket and this pocket. Okay, so now this piece is 11 by 6 again, and I scored it at 6 inches. So this is a 6-inch side, and this is the 5-inch. Okay, I have 2 sheets that measure 7 by 6. I stuck both of them in the scoreboard, the 7-inch side at the top, scored at 1/2 inch, scored at 6.5 inches. Okay, 2 of those. And again, this pocket with what was left over from cutting that pocket, because I cut it at 6 by 6 or whatever. And then this flap is 6.5 inches by 5. Okay, so let me see if I got these right. This first page I stuck on the front, and this pocket is going to go vertical. So I want my opening on the top. Now you just glue the bottom opening shut. You don't want to use wet glue or your tags will get stuck to the bottom. Okay, so that's that. The second piece is this flap that I made. I stuck it in my scoreboard so that the 6.5 inch side is at the top, and I scored at 6 to have this little 1/2 inch flap. Fold on your score mark, apply your adhesive, and I applied this to the right side of the page so that it flips up like this. Where was my pocket? I can't tell where I ripped my pocket off of. Okay, my pocket was down here. So this piece down here, again, see how I cut this piece off? Then I just flipped it over and used the second piece that was left over. So there's really no measurements. Just scored a 1/2 inch on each of these 3 sides to create the little flaps for you to apply your adhesive with. Okay, fold the flaps back, and attach it to the bottom of your page. If this page over here, if this page would have been bigger than 5 inches, then I could have just cut off whatever difference is the page. If this was a 6-inch page, I would cut off 1 inch to make this page, since I still had enough in the measurements for the 1/2 inch gap flaps. Okay, so this page flips over and it flips back like that. You want to make sure that you line up your pocket to the right of the score mark, or you won't be able to close your page very nicely. So then you flip it over and you have that last pocket. So you have already scored it. And I'm going to apply the adhesive on the flaps. And now this flap is going to go horizontally again for the page. Okay. So now there's all our pages. So now it looks like this album has 2 spines and then a little flap over it. So I tend to make my album covers a 1/2 inch taller than the rest of the album total. So these pages are 6 by 6. So I'm going to cut my chipboard for the front and back cover at 6.5 by 6.5. And again, I'm using my cereal boxes. So 6.5, and I'm saving this cut off. So I'm going to cut 4 pieces at 6.5 by 6.5. If you think that your cereal box is thick enough for your cover, just go ahead and cut 1 for each. Okay. Now, I'm actually just going to do that because you know how to glue these 2 together. I always put the print size, and I just use wet glue or glue stick, and I glue them together, and I set something on top of them for them to dry. Once they're dry, then I cover them with paper. So I'm just going to cut out that step in this video. Now, typically I use a 2 1/4 inch spine for 6 pages. This only has 3 pages. However, they're pretty thick pages as it is now. And when you add paper and then add pictures to them, it's going to be a little bit different. So let me go ahead and make the hinge now. So I'm cutting my hinge at 6 inches, okay, because that's what the paper is. I'm putting it in my scoreboard. And then I like to have at least a 1 inch flap. Since I know I'm not going to use this whole 11 inch sheet, I'm going to go ahead and start with a 1 1/4 inch flap. So this is the part that is going to stick to my covers, where the spine will be here, okay? So I am going to leave, I think instead of using a 1/4 inch gap, I'm going to use a 1/2 inch gap in between each of my flaps, okay? So which means I don't want my binding to be bam right here on the side. So I'm going to go over 1/4 inch. Okay, then I'm scoring at 1 1/2, and then 1 3/4. Let me see if I can zoom in. Hello, focus. No, that's not focusing. Okay, so it's 1 1/2, 1 3/4. Then I'm going to go 2 1/4. I'm going to go 2 3/4. Now that's going to create my little flap that I'm going to stick inside of my pocket. So now I need to go over another 1/2 inch. So that's going to be 3 1/4. And that's going to be my gusset, if you will. So then I need to go over another 1/2 inch. And that's 3 3/4, and then 4 1/4. And that's going to create my second flap. And then I need to go another 1/2 inch. That's my gusset. And my last flap is 1/2 inch. That's going to be 5 1/4. Another 1/2 inch. And that's 5 3/4. And then I need to give it a little buffer again like I did at the front. So I'm going to do it at 6. Now I can cut my paper at 7.5 inches. So I'm just going to make a tick mark there because that's going to leave the 1/2 inch mark there. Let me draw on here for you. So 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 1/4, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 1/4, 6 3/4, and 6 inches. And then I'm going to cut this off at 7.5 inches. So in order to make my binding, I need to, let me see if I can move this thing out because I don't like working in the middle of my desk. There we go. A little bit better. And let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to fold right now. I'm just folding on all my score marks, and I'm using my bone folder to make those folds crisp. That's all I'm doing right now. Okay, so now I know that this 1/4 inch gap is what I wanted at the beginning of mine. So I'm going to apply adhesive to, oh, I just dropped my ruler. I'm trying to find, okay, where's my black pen? Wait, this is a pencil. I don't think you're going to be able to see. I'm mumbling. Okay. Oh, Lord. Okay. Here's a black pen. So this is the 1.5 inch, and here's the 1/4 inch gap. Then there's going to be 2 flaps right next to each other. Those are the ones you're going to want to put tape on. You're going to skip 1/2 inch, and then you're going to put adhesive on the next 2 together. They're going to skip another 1/2 inch, and you're going to put adhesive on the next 2. So see how that is? Ran out of tape. Okay, so now I'm just going to apply the 2 tape sections together. And this is what's creating our page. Here is our 3 flaps that we are going to use to connect our pages to our spine. Okay. So now what you want to do is you want to miter all the corners on both sides. Okay. So my corners are mitered. And now I'm going to take this, I'm going to measure this from score mark to score mark, and that's how long my spine is going to be. So you really need to make your binding strips or whatever you use to bind first, measure that, and then you can create your spine. So as you can see that this is a 1.5 inches, so I need my spine to be 6 by 1.5. Actually 6.5 by 1.5. So I'm just cutting this at 6.5 by 1.5. And remember, because this album flips over around, I'm going to need 2 of these. Hey, will you do me a favor? Will you get me some more tea?
I thought you were recording.
I am recording, but I can ask my husband for tea.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
It's the chai tea latte and use 10 ounces.
Okay.
Thank you. So these are 1.5 inch strips, which is going to create, will it get bigger? Bigger, make bigger, make bigger. Okay, it's not making it bigger, but you can kind of see here where here's a spine, and then right there's a spine, and then there's another flap right there. So I'm going to make my 2 spines the same size. So this piece and this piece are, whoa, hey, it made it bigger. So I'm going to make this piece and this piece bigger, and then this piece right here is what flaps over the front, which is right here. That's that piece there. Whoops. Guess it helps if I'm in camera frame. Did you see any of that? Okay. So that's, oh, 2 teaspoons of sugar makes the medicine go down. Medicine. Okay, so now to create your covers, you're going to need something to apply between here. So I'm just going to get up and get a piece of recycled envelope. work in a business office. We get a lot of express mail, a lot of overnight packages from drivers. And so I ask the safety departments or whatever. Oh, something's stuck on the back of that. I ask them to save these envelopes for me so that I can use it on the middle of my lines here. So I'm just going to cut this, whack it off here. It just needs to be at least 6.5 inches because that's our spine. Oh, he doesn't know how to use my Keurig machine, so now I'm thirsty. Okay. Now, I don't want to use this piece because it's got something on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick this piece in there and cut that off. So I need to make sure that this is at least 6.5 inches. Okay. So this only needs to be, our spine is what did we say? What did we say? What did we say? What did we say? Where's my spine? Since our spine's only 1.5 inches, this is going to be there. You're going to have a little bit of gap on the side. So I'm going to cut this at 4 inches, just a nice even little cut. And then we're going to leave the other piece for the next phase that we do. So let me get some room here. I got too much crap. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, so you have your two spines here, and you take your 1.5 inch strip. I should rewind the video and tell him, look, I said 10. I think he was in here when I was saying my thing was 1.5 inches. Okay, so you're just gonna put it on to the Tyvek in the middle, and now I'm just gonna apply. Maybe. Oh, son of a donkey. I'm using score tape. Okay, so now I'm going to apply some tape to this side, and then I'm going to apply it over here, and I'm going to apply it over here while I'm at it. And you don't want to apply it really close to the chipboard.
Oh, Bianca said it was defaulted on because I don't.
I'll have to edit this video now. Okay, so I am going to line it up with a little bit of a gap, which you want 2 thicknesses of whatever chipboard you're using. So there's a little bit of a gap there on that side. Now I'm going to do the same to the other side. And line it up. All right. Now I'm just going to trim this part off because you don't need it. Okay. This side. Okay. Now we're going to apply the other flap to this piece. So I'm getting out my Tyvek, and I'm just going to use this whole piece. I don't feel like cutting anymore. So we're going to do the exact same thing. This doesn't have to be in the middle though. You just need a little bit of a piece there. I'm going to apply some tape adhesive right there. Take my tape backing off. Now I'm just going to make sure that this piece here is lined up with this piece with just a little bit of a gap again. And there we go. And then the piece that I had left over from cutting the spine is where? Where's my piece? Oh, there it is. This one is left over, but it's about 1 7/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to apply that as well to the Tyvek right here. And you get to see the Cheerio Man. Little B. Now I'm gonna just take all that excess of Tyvek off. Okay, so now at this point, you would want to wrap your album. You could use 12 by 12 paper, or you could take 2 pieces of 11 and a half, 8.5 by 11 paper, and take some adhesive, whether it be score tape or wet glue or whatever. Put 1 strip right along the edge, and then stick your other piece of paper right on top of that score tape. Line it up. Line it up. Okay, so now this is long enough to put it in there and wrap your book. Okay, and to wrap it, you would just put adhesive all along the back of this, place it on your paper, and then take your paper and kind of fold it up. I use my bone folder. Work the paper like this and fold it up. You want to slowly bend it, okay, so it doesn't like crack or rip. You do that on all 4 sides. Once you have all 4 sides done, you'll end up with a little square. Now you want to cut that square out, but don't cut it completely to this point. Leave, you know, a little bit of space left there when you're cutting at an angle. Don't cut directly. See how much space I left there on that point? See that? You want to leave that so that you can wrap your book the corners, and the corners won't show. You can also there's a little tool that you can get to help you do your corners, if that's what you prefer. Then apply adhesive on this flap. Whoops. Flaps over. And then once you got that, you want to take your bone folder and put that little, because there's going to be a little bitty tiny piece there, and then fold it over, and you end up with a nice corner. Okay? So wrap your whole book. Then, which obviously I'm not going to do, then you want to apply your hinge. Okay? And this goes for any mini album, this part, okay? Wrap it and then apply your hinge. So then what you do is you apply score tape all along the back. You apply it every square inch that you can. I am being chintzy right now, and I am not. I'm just going to put it on these 2 pieces here. Okay, so then since our spine was 1.5 inches, we know we can just line this right up to our spine. But you're going to have to center it top and bottom, because this is a 1/4 inch smaller on the top and 1/4 inch smaller from the bottom, because we cut our covers 1/2 inch larger. So then just line this up and pop it down. So that's what we're going to do. I gotta blow leaves tomorrow. And actually, I'm excited because my husband bought me a new leaf blower. It's the one that goes on your back. I love blowing leaves. I don't know what it is. It's just like cleaning and making sure there's no leaves on the ground at all. And I finally get to use it tomorrow. Okay, so you do that. Press in the center where you applied that tape. And now you would apply score tape to each of these flaps. I'm only going to do one because I'm getting tired and lazy now. Okay. So apply score tape on both sides of your flap. Take off the tape backing and then put your page in. Now you got to remember, you wrapped your album. You probably have decorative paper on there. You need to make sure that you're right side up. So make sure that, you know, your cover, if this had designs on it, that this is the front. I know that this is the front because this is the back with the second flap that we had on it, okay? So I took the tape backing off of that. I'm confirming that my page is the right direction. Pockets there, pockets on the bottom. So I know that my page goes in this way. And then I just I open it up. So my fingers are in there. I hold it up with my fingers. I start on the top, wiggle it around, put it in there so it's over. That little flap is inside the page. Bend the page down and then stick it so that my page lays flat. So then I would continue to adhere the rest of my pages in the same manner, making sure my flaps are right directions. I don't know how many times I've glued my pages on upside down, but I have. So there's that. Last page here. There's that. Okay. Very, very simple to do. Okay. Now when it's closed up, it closes up like that. You can put magnets on here. Before you put your pattern paper on the inside and the outside, you could put magnets on there and hold it together. I don't know what they did to hold theirs together, but there you go. By the time you add pictures and embellishments, I think this quarter or this ½ inch gap would be perfect. If you guys have any questions, see anything else you would like me to make, I will see what I can do. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.